Вот, валит дым.
Это БТР, да?
Да. Да, скорее всего, это 44-я точка. Волна, я Лев, подтверждаю, 71-я точка, уничтожена 1 единица техники противника.
Марс, а что сейчас подтверждение ты записал? Что уничтожили?
Еще одну БМП противника уничтожили.
То есть всего сколько уже?
Уже 3 за час.
И какое там движение у пехоты?
Выстрел!
Да.
The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Russian Deputy Minister of Defense Tatiana Shevtsova presented state awards to participants of the special military operation at the Vishnevsky Hospital. The Russian peacekeeping forces continue missions in the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. At present, 1,340 people, 607 of them are children, remain in the location of the peacekeepers. In Zaporozhye direction, up to 50 Ukrainian personnel, 2 armored fighting vehicles, including Bradley IFV, and 3 motor vehicles were eliminated. Operational, tactical, and army aviation, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian groups of forces have engaged AFU manpower and hardware in 102 areas during the day. In Krasny Liman direction, coordinated actions of the center group of forces, as well as helicopter strikes and artillery fire, repelled 3 attacks launched by AFU assault groups near Chervenaya Dubrova and Shipilovka. Air defense systems have intercepted 5 Storm Shadow cruise missiles, 4 HIMARS/MLRS projectiles, and 1 HARM anti-radiation missile. The Russian Defense Ministry shows airborne special forces units and OSA AKM SAM systems in action, as well as combat work of Western MD's T-80 tanks in Kupiansk direction and mortars of Novorossiysk airborne troops in Zaporozhye direction. Naval Ka-27 PS helicopter pilots practice interaction with fleet forces in the Barents Sea within the Finval 2023 exercise. In Donetsk direction, the Yug group of forces, supported by aviation and artillery, repelled 5 attacks by assault groups of the 3rd Assault Brigade, the 53rd and 110th Mechanized Brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces close to Kleshchevka, Veseloy, and Kimik. The enemy's losses were up to 175 Ukrainian troops, 1 tank, 1 armored fighting vehicle, and 3 pickup trucks. In counter-battery warfare, the Russian troops hit 1 U.S. made M777 artillery system, 1 Polish-made Krab self-propelled artillery system, and 1 D-30 howitzer. In Zaporozhye direction, units of the Russian group of forces supported by helicopters, artillery, and heavy flamethrower systems repelled 3 attacks by the AFU 71st Jaeger Brigade close to Verbovoy. Also, a cluster of manpower and hardware of the 116th Mechanized Brigade of the AFU near the locality of Charivnoy was hit by fire. Up to 35 Ukrainian troops, 2 armored fighting vehicles, and 2 motor vehicles were eliminated. In counter-battery warfare, the Russian troops hit 1 U.S. made M109 Paladin self-propelled howitzer, 1 Akatsiya self-propelled artillery system, 2 D-30 and 1 D-20 howitzers. In Krasny Liman direction, well-coordinated actions of the center group of forces, strikes by Army aviation and artillery fire repelled 2 attacks by assault groups of the 63rd and 67th Mechanized Brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces near Chervonaya and Rova. Also, close to Torskoy in the Serebryansky Forestry, the Russian troops inflicted fire damage on clusters of manpower and hardware of the 63rd Mechanized Brigade, the 12th Special Forces Brigade, and the 5th Brigade of the Ukrainian National Guard. Up to 70 Ukrainian servicemen were killed and wounded, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 2 pickup trucks, and D-30 howitzers were neutralized. In South Donetsk direction, the Vostok group of forces, in cooperation with aviation and artillery, repelled 1 attack of an assault detachment of the AFU 110th Territorial Defense Brigade in the direction of Pryutnoy. Airstrikes and artillery fire defeated manpower and hardware of the 79th Air Assault and 72nd Mechanized Brigades of the Ukrainian Armed Forces close to Novomikhailovka and Vladimirovka. In addition, the activities of a sabotage and reconnaissance group of the Ukrainian Armed Forces 38th Marines Brigade were suppressed near the village of Novodonskoy. The enemy's losses for the day totaled up to 135 Ukrainian servicemen killed and wounded, 2 pickup trucks, and 1 Mstabi howitzer. In Kupiansk direction, aviation and artillery of the Zapad group of forces inflicted fire damage on manpower and hardware of the 14th, 32nd Mechanized, and 25th Air Assault Brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine close to Zagoruikovka, Ivanovka, Rozovka, and Berestovoy. Over 65 Ukrainian troops, 2 motor vehicles, and 1 U.S. made M1097 Avenger anti-aircraft missile system were neutralized. In counter-battery warfare, the Russian troops hit 1 M109 Paladin self-propelled howitzer, 2 U.S. made M777 artillery systems, and 1 D-20 howitzer. An ammunition depot of the AFU 120th Territorial Defense Brigade has been obliterated close to Gadishch. In Kherson direction, 4 sabotage and reconnaissance groups of the AFU Special Operations Forces close to Kazatskoy and the islands of Alyashkinsky and Peryaslovsky were eliminated. The enemy's losses were over 60 Ukrainian servicemen, 1 armored fighting vehicle, and 4 motor vehicles. Also, 2 U.S. made M777 artillery systems and 1 D-30 howitzer were hit during counter-battery warfare. Operational, tactical, and Army aviation, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian groups of forces have engaged AFU manpower and hardware in 126 areas during the day. In addition, the command and observation post of a battalion of the 72nd Mechanized Brigade near Ugoldar and the temporary deployment area of the 35th Marines Brigade near Petropavlovka were hit. Fighter jets of the Russian Aerospace Forces intercepted 1 Su-24 meters bomber of the Ukrainian Air Force close to Novovladimirovka. A Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter jet has been hit by a drone strike at the Dolgentsevo airfield. Air defense and electronic warfare systems and small arms fire intercepted 4 Storm Shadow long-range cruise missiles and 5 HIMARS and Smerch MLRS projectiles. Moreover, 42 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles were down close to Nagornoy, Gorlovka, Mikhailovka, Vilogorovka, Karamzinovka, Volchayerovka, Novogorovka, Nevoy, and Mernoy, Podstepnoy, and Kazaki Lazaru. In total, 475 airplanes and 249 helicopters, 6,945 unmanned aerial vehicles, 438 air defense missile systems, 12,009 tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, 1,152 combat vehicles equipped with MLRS, 6,462 field artillery cannons and mortars, as well as 13,262 units of special military equipment have been destroyed during the special military operation.